My associate pastor is an amazing man. His name is Kevin. We just finished a conference at that church in Detroit, and it was a youth conference. It was called War Week. It is a very unique conference. We'd bring youth pastors and youth groups from all over America. They'd come together. We'd have sessions in morning and night and all afternoon. You evangelists will just drool at this. They were all in ministry all day long, working the streets. So it's like, we want you to be imparted, but now you've got to use it on the streets. So we would send them out for 3 hours every single day. We finished the conference, and after we finished the conference, I flew at the end of it to Minneapolis, Minnesota, to interview a possible staff member. Kevin, the associate pastor, who lived 1 block over from Cindy and I, him and his wife Sarah, took their 2 children and went to another state because they were going to get a break and get a little vacation. Then I get a call at 4 in the morning while I'm in Minneapolis in a hotel, and it says that Kevin is in the hospital. And what I found out was that in the middle of the night at 3 o'clock in the morning, someone who was looking for drug money to buy cocaine broke into Kevin's home while he was there by himself, crashed through the front window. Kevin heard it, and while he was coming down, the man went into the kitchen and took the largest kitchen knife. And as Kevin was coming down, the man was coming up. The man jabbed the knife into his stomach and started to tear away. They fell, and all of a sudden, he started chopping at the back of his neck and then on his face. 37 times Kevin was stabbed. It was a horrific moment. And Kevin tells the story that as he's laying there in his blood, there was so much blood loss. The man was robbing him. There was so much blood loss that he was laying down and he was saying his final prayer to the Lord. His final prayer was, God, don't let my children be bitter with ministry. That's what he was praying. And then he started to have regrets, he said, and God forgive me because my wife, Sarah, and I had a fight before we left and I should have made up with her. And it was at that moment, Kevin said, it was like an audible voice. He heard a voice that said, get up, they still need you. And he didn't know what that meant, but he said it was an audible voice. And somehow, without trying to be so graphic, he held his intestines in place, stood up in this giant pool of blood, and by the grace of God, made it out the back door while the man was robbing him. Got to the neighbor's home. The neighbor said that was in the report, they couldn't even recognize him. They had no idea his ethnicity. They couldn't tell whether he was black, white, Hispanic, or Asian. He was so covered with his own blood. Finally, the police, the ambulance came, took Kevin to the hospital. 37 stab wounds. He was brought immediately into surgery. That's when I flew in, when he was going into surgery, and Sarah came up at the same time. And so we're hearing then the stories. Remember, scars tell stories. And so what we found out was this. We found out that 37 times this man stabbed him, and every one of those stab wounds missed a vital organ of his body. What in the world is that? They said, you win. The surgeon said, you win. You have the record at the hospital, is what they told him. Then the police came and started to look for the man that broke in and the man that did this. And Kevin shared with me later of what was in the police report. This is what they said was in the police report. When Kevin got up, he said, we don't understand. We have a missing piece in the police report that we don't know what to write. He said, when you stood up in that pile of blood, the blood loss was massive. He said, we were surprised that you even had the strength to get up. But then he said this, he said, when you stood up, we see in that puddle of blood, in the police report, your size 10 shoes or feet. Now, he didn't have his shoes on. Feet in the blood. He said, but to get to the neighbor's house, there's no footprints. We don't know where the footprints are that got you to the neighbor's house. How many have seen that footprints in the sand? Okay. This is the updated ghetto version, is what this is. This is called footprints in the blood, is what this is called. Well, we know who got Kevin there. And Kevin has on his body 6 feet of scars from his face, his neck, his stomach, all over his body. And every inch of his body tells a story. God is a miracle worker. It's if every time he looks at it. Kevin is now not only stayed in the city that he pastored with me in, but now he is working. It's an amazing ministry. And he's able to tell his story. Total forgiveness. That R.T. Kendall really, if there's a story of total forgiveness, it is Kevin. Because when he stood at the courts and they asked him to give a victim statement, he said, I will not do that. He said, I will give a victor statement. And he stood up at that court and pronounced forgiveness on the man that stabbed him 37 times. That's what he did in court. Instead of pointing at him, he gave him to Jesus and said, I forgive you. And in fact, there have been moments that he has taken care of their family with Christmas presents. That man's family is what he has done. And now he is ministering on death row to people that only have some years and some months to live. And he tells them his story, is what Kevin does. And is when he's standing and talking to these men and women on death row, don't you know that every one of those scars are speaking louder than his words? And Kevin has a story to tell, because that's what they do. Those scars tell stories.